On this episode, we continue the conversation about what's going on in our corn and soybean fields. If you are seeing herbicide volatility out in your field, you are not alone. We have an update on what the grain market facilitation program may look like for growers. Joe is excited about this time of year for one reason. Keep watching to see what it is.
Hi, this is Joe Mershman from Mershman Seeds. Welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 39. Today we have all our regulars back. We got Tommy and Turk and Ben, and we're going to start off with Ben first. Talk about what's going out there in the field.
Yep, I've been spending a lot of time in the cornfields this week. Looked at a lot of corn in various stages and various conditions. I'm definitely going to say the guys that side dressed, put a little extra money into their corn. You're definitely seeing it now as that ear's filling out. We're seeing, stress come all the way from the bottom to the top of the plant. So a lot of the guys that put their anhydrous on last year and didn't want to put too much money into it because they didn't think the crop would be worth anything, well, it's very apparent that I imagine you're going to see lower test weights and not near as good of ear fill coming out of some of those fields. So we're definitely seeing nitrogen deficiencies show up in either the whole field or definitely areas that laid flat. We're seeing gray leaf spot show up and a little bit of rust show up in the corn. So I'm definitely suggesting, like we talked last week, the guys that have decent looking crops, I'm definitely suggesting go ahead and throw the fungicide at it, and if you can, work with something that's got the 3 modes of action. Yep. Iowa State talked about how that's statistically significant. They have higher yields off of the fungicides that have 3 modes of action. So try to find like a Trivapro or a Miravis or a product like that has multiple modes of action. Looked at a lot of soybean fields as well. We're seeing lots of Japanese beetle damage, lots of grasshopper damage on field edges and whatnot. So I've been suggesting haloing fields. The whole field doesn't need treatment, but if you're concerned about the outside 50, 90 feet, go in and put an insecticide down around on the field edges.
We're seeing some thistle caterpillars too, aren't we?
Yes, it's a very, very common theme reading Iowa State's update that they had on Tuesday. Pretty much north of Interstate 80, the entire state has thistle caterpillar problems.
They look pretty nasty.
Yep. Normally, thistle caterpillars there's not enough damage to warrant an insecticide application, but there's even Megan Anderson. I mean, she's the very intelligent person for Iowa State as an extension person, but she had pictures of fields decimated. Yep.
Very thorough. Ben, I got a question for you. With this corn is kind of growing very rapidly, with how much space is in between these collars, because I've seen some down corn, especially over, northern Illinois, especially where a lot of these storms have gone through in the past week or so. But are you seeing much down corn in your area? Are you concerned at all with
the earlier planted corn that hit tassel? The corn hardened off, but we definitely saw some root lodging or goosenecking or even some green snap in spots, depending on where you're at and what stage the corn's in, because it's very brittle when it's growing as fast as it is with the amount of heat that we've had. So yeah, we have seen a few issues.
I was talking to a producer over by Milton, Iowa, where he had grown some of that silage corn, that 9814, gets really tall, and he was impressed on how well that it kept up. And there were some competitor fields down just about a half mile from that field that was completely down, 60-75%.
It seems like even Stein's tall stuff, they still have to have a good standability rating, and you got to have the good standability rating to be a part of the Stein hybrid program.
Yeah, I could never understand when you put all this money into a crop to grow a corn crop, and then you pick a hybrid that is a big, tall sail and susceptible. You always get storms when it's critical time, and then when you need the moisture. Why not plant a Stein hybrid that's designed for standability and can take the wind and just eliminate that risk? It's something that I think that a lot of farmers think about the hybrid and what it can do for yield, but they forget about that standability piece.
Regionally, I mean, it's not like a tri-county region, let's call it. There's always a windstorm sometime.
Oh, yeah.
That takes a certain amount of corn out. So I agree with you, Joe. It's very important to have that standability rating for what it is.
We're getting to the point where it could use a rain.
Yeah, we're seeing. I saw some cracks that you could lose car keys in yesterday afternoon. around Mediapolis area. So we could definitely be using rain in certain spots.
I heard him say Iowa City was 3 inches below normal for the month of July.
Wow. Well, the odds of averages always work out. We get all the rain early.
Just have an average year when we're all done after all this moisture we've had all spring.
Right.
So.
And the other thing on the Iowa State, reading that article, one of the things that they're talking about, the only other common thread other than thistle caterpillars was volatility issues. So we're definitely, our sales team's definitely been out looking at fields that have, group 4 growth regulator dicamba injury.
Dicamba, yeah.
I'm hearing the same thing. Show up.
Yep.
Yeah, most of that dicamba got sprayed during those hot weeks and it didn't stay home. No question about it.
All the dicamba claims and all the dicamba fields that I've looked at, none of it has been physical drift. It's all been volatility so far out of the 12 or 15 that I've gone to.
I would agree. I would agree that that's what the number one concern is, volatility.
And if we'd like we're out here educating. I mean, that's what the point of Cup of Joe is. Where we're trying to educate.
Absolutely.
And so one thing I want to remind guys, 10 to 14 days before you even see your first cupping damage. So when you're looking at it, trying to figure out when it happened, 10 to 14 days after the spray happened, that's when you're going to see it start to show up. If you have enough rainfall, typically it takes 3 to 5 weeks for that leaf cupping to stop. So expect to look at this issue for another 3 to 5 weeks, and hopefully the beans with enough moisture will grow out.
And that's a big difference between dicamba and the 2,4-D, the new choline technology. Well, first of all, it's not a systemic product, it's contact, so the next leaves that grow out will be normal. And number two is it's not as volatile. I'm reading some of the articles where they're trying to stretch 2,4-D into that article, but
it's 9-day difference.
It's 9-day difference. Yeah, it's so much more domestic, you might say, than
Farmer friendly.
Farmer friendly, neighbor friendly.
Neighbor friendly.
Yeah. But we're hearing good reports on how well these new technologies are working too.
The weed control is phenomenal. Guys, we have a producer over in Western Iowa. He was taking growers to look at see how well the new choline technology is working with the enlist beans, and you see it wrap up mare's tail and turn it to mush pretty quick, and you turn into a believer pretty fast. So it's pretty impressive.
Well, we hope that farmers will take a look at the LibertyLink GT27 and Enlist E3 next year as an alternative and eliminate some of the risks that they're taking with dicamba and make the neighbors a little bit happier too.
Absolutely.
Turk, you've got some good news today, don't you?
They announced the market facilitation payments this week, and about $10 billion going to be starting in middle of August. They'll start going out. Right now they're planning on 50% of it in the middle of August, and then middle of November, and then again in January, given depending on how things go with the China talks, which doesn't look like anything's moving there either. So don't know how long that's going to last, but the market facilitation payments is what that's for, to offset those market losses, and so it's going to start coming. Some other details released in there was the $15 for cover crops on anything that was prevented planting, and they put cover crops on. There's $15 payment per acre on that in there as well, and the market facilitation payment is going to be based on countywide averages this time, and the payment cannot be more. The acres cannot be more than your 2018 acres. So there's going to be some limitations on it, but again, I think in other words, if somebody had to take preventive planting or decided to move acres from corn to beans, those extra acres probably won't be eligible for this payment.
Sure.
It doesn't sound like, because you're going to be limited to the number of acres that you had in 2018.
Yeah, they were trying everything in their power not to influence acres.
Right, move acres around.
Let the market determine acres.
Anybody that wants to know what the payment's going to be, there's a website, farmers.gov, and they can go on there and sign up and figure out what their payment is and get that. They're also going to start putting out the prevented planting acre payments as well, a partial of that. So again, there's lots of money going to start flowing in, and so it's going to have to be one of those deals where farmers are going to have to be a little bit conscious of their taxes and if it's going to be outside their normal marketing program.
Yeah, particularly if you're selling some of that old crop this summer or this fall, right prior to harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yep. Well, that's good. That's good that for agriculture to get to be recognized and get some help in an area where there's a lot of things they don't control.
There's other payments in there this time also for several other things other than corn and soybeans as well, but mostly the biggest payment up by far is going to be the soybean payment.
Good. That's good news. Thanks, Turk. Tommy, you got a couple things for us?
I had a couple kind of repeat on what Ben was talking about earlier. I was talking about down corn. We covered that. I did say that there were some aphids, and we've seen some up in northern Iowa, northern Illinois starting to show up. So get out and kind of check out your fields. We've been seeing some Japanese beetles showing up in the silks and the corn, and spider mites as well.
I was going to say, this dry weather, the spider mites is probably going to start showing up too.
Yep. And it's spider mites is a little interesting. You know, you see them in pockets. It's usually on the edge of the field, but we've seen them go a little further into the field than maybe you would have seen historically. But keep an eye out for that. It's usually yellow crinkling of the leaves, just look like the soybeans are dying in the middle of the field.
How do you find those? You take that piece of white paper.
And you take a piece of white paper and you shake the plant. And you can see them all just crawling on the piece of paper.
See the little pepper start moving.
Yep. And then I did want to talk a little bit about, we were seeing a lot of damage showing up. So just get out, scout your field, see what you got going on. Be a little bit of an investigator. If you need some help, give one of our sales managers a call and we'll be sure to help you.
Who would have thought that aphids would have been a concern about 2 months ago?
I know. It's insane, right? So just the year we got, and we got to do the best to protect the crop that we have out there.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, I have the fun stuff today, so I didn't bring my scope in today. But I did bring in what I consider the most fun thing there is in the summertime if you're in agriculture, and that is eating sweet corn. And this happens to be, you guys want to help out here? I'm planning on eating this up lunch today, but this is Remedy, which is a Syngenta variety that we sell. It's a yellow-white, and this particular variety it has not only glyphosate tolerance but also Liberty tolerance. Plus, it has for earworm and some of the above-ground insects, which makes it every year just perfect. It's just a great variety. So
It's essentially a Viptera.
yeah, it's a Viptera type of thing. So from my perspective, this is summer. When you get that first sweet corn, it is so good.
It is delicious.
Yeah. So anyhow,
Good looking ears.
It is.
16 around, Joe.
so we raise about 2 acres of sweet corn for our employees, and I call it the only non-taxable employee benefit. So they get all they want, and they enjoy it. The other big thing that's going on in West Point today is ragbri, and I know folks in Iowa all know about what ragbri is, but ragbri is actually a bicycle ride across Iowa. In the Des Moines Register, back in the day, there was somebody that organized it, and they called it the Register's Annual Great Bike Ride Across Iowa. And so there's like 15,000, up to 15,000 bicyclists are going to come into West Point between 10 and 2 today. So it's going to be pretty exciting. But I know it quickly got a new name, and the new name, instead of RAGBRI, which it stands for Really Amazing Great Beer Run Across Iowa. So the beer trucks have been backing up in West Point, and they're getting ready. I know they're going to have a Mount RAGBRI, a big pile of bicycles. You got to do things to get people to stop, and then once they stop, hopefully they drop $1 or $2 in town. So it's a big event.
It's a good event for these small towns.
It is, and this will be the third time they've came through in the history of the ride. So they're going from Burlington today to Keokuk, which is the only time you can dip your wheel in the Mississippi River twice, because they usually you start it traditionally by dipping it in the Missouri River and then ride across the state and dip it in the Mississippi River. The other thing I'd like to mention is today I really appreciate Tommy coming in super early today because he's getting married today. So
Just in a couple hours.
so he's got to hurry up and get his text on after he gets done with recording this episode. But well, congratulations, Tommy, and
I appreciate that, John.
I hope. Well, I know for a fact things will be great. So we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Well, as always, we appreciate our customers, their business, and we thank you very much, and we hope that your crop is doing well and your family is healthy, and we'll see you next week.
Cup's empty.
Thank you.